Hello. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is assumed that you have read all the materials in advance before we tackle more complex exercises than those given in the materials. So, by the way, the graded exercises as well as the upcoming quiz may automatically be graded by Canvas, but those grades or scores are not yet final. I will always recheck manually since the syntax provided in Canvas may not be the same as the syntax used, though your answer or answers may be correct. And partial points will be given in case some parts of your answer or answers are correct, and if it is a file upload solution, definitely I will be giving partial points for some parts of your solutions that are correct, and that usually is given during quizzes. But for the graded exercises, usually you're just required to give an answer or pick among choices, and I seldom give file upload solutions. But we will see in the other graded exercises. And by the way, exercise 1B is still uh, due on Monday if you haven't answered it yet. Okay, so let's start with the most difficult exercise I have chosen. Although this is supposed to be the last one we will be discussing for this session, but I decided because I have to show three different kinds of solutions, so I have decided to do this first. So this combines topics like midpoint formula, slope, and lines. Actually, this is a problem I think given under the topic of lines, and also I think under the topic of distance and midpoint formulas. So that means there are several approaches to solving this problem. Now, if this were show your solution problem, then you will have to not just give your final answer, you will have to give a complete solution so that even if you get the final answer correctly, yet you did not provide a thorough or complete solution, you might not get the full credit. In fact, sometimes even your final answer may not be credited at all, especially if it does not really follow from your solution. So let me do the most difficult way of solving this one first, then the easier way, and then the easiest way. So there are three solutions that we will be using or showing to solve this problem. So the hardest one first, and that would be to use equations of lines actually to solve this problem. Some of you may already have tried this one, but anyone tried solving this one using lines or equations of lines? So let me show how. Let me first explain how lines can be used to solve this problem. So let's read. Points -8, -16, 0, 10, and 12, 14 are three vertices of a parallelogram. Find the coordinates of the fourth vertex if it is located in the third quadrant. Of course, there are two other positions where you may place the fourth vertex, so as or another quadrant where you may put or place the fourth vertex if you are to form a parallelogram here. One could be on the fourth quadrant somewhere. But we are told that the fourth vertex is in the third quadrant. So it has to be somewhere here. Okay. Now, how do we find that fourth vertex? Let's use the method of lines to solve this one. And the idea would be to think of the fourth vertex as an intersection of two lines. Maybe you can suggest what those two lines are so that their intersection is actually the fourth vertex of this parallelogram. So only three vertices are given there. We have to find the fourth. Now, this is a parallelogram. What is a parallelogram, by the way? Anyone? Just unmute your mic if you want to answer. No one sees you anyway. So try to master enough courage to speak in class. Anyone? What is a parallelogram? Can you just define? So from the word itself. That, yes, two. Only two?
I think the opposite sides are parallel to each other.
Okay. Two opposite sides are parallel to each other. Okay, that's correct. In fact, a spatial type of a rhombus is of a parallelogram is a rhombus. The only difference is between a general parallelogram and a rhombus is that all sides of a rhombus are equal also in length. But for a parallelogram, the sides need not be all equal. Okay, so opposite sides are parallel. How will that help us solve this problem? Let's try to draw, okay, lines connecting those points. So I'll be connecting B and C using a line. I'll be connecting A and C. And I will be drawing two other lines whose point of intersection is actually the fourth vertex of the parallelogram. So it's not hard to see that if I draw a line parallel to AC, passing through B, and then another one passing through A, this time parallel to the other side BC, it should be quite easy to see that the intersection of those two lines is the point we are looking for. Although, of course, hindi eksakto yung pagkakalagay niya kasi sketch lang yan, di ba? Hindi naman tayo kaya mag-drawing ng straight lines. So, medyo malayo dun sa talagang location. Pero nandun yung idea. So, to find the fourth vertex, in other words, we will need to get the point of intersection of these two lines. Now, how do we get the point of intersection of those two lines? First, we need their equations, right? Once we have their equations, then all we have to do is solve the resulting system of equations. So the hard part of this solution is actually finding the equations of the lines. And how many things do we need in order to determine the equation of a line? We may need 2 points, right? Or if we do not have 2 points, if we can get its slope and a point on it, then we can write down its equation using the point slope form. Remember, if you studied in advance, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, where m is the slope and then the x sub 1, y sub 1 there is a point on the line. So two things, either 2 points or a point, and the slope. The slope is unique, by the way. So if we want to find the equation of this one, okay, let me undo that. This one here, what we need is the slope of the line. We already have a point on this line, which is this one. Okay, murahin natin ha. Okay, we are looking for this one. Now, to get its equation, we need a point on it and the slope of it. We already have a point given. It passes through B. So we just need its slope. And since it's a parallelogram, it's parallel to this side. And we can get the slope of that line. I mean, the line passing through A and C using the point slope, using the slope formula. So A, B, C. So using those points AC, we can get the slope of AC and thus the slope of this one. So the slope of AC dinadaan-daan lang natin yung pag-i-explain. Ano? Slope of AC equals, okay, using the coordinates of the points, change in Y, so kasi negative, negative, di ba? Over change in X, so 12 minus negative 8, which is 30 over 20, so 3 halves. So the slope of this one is 3 halves as well. Remember, lines that are parallel have the same slopes. So we already actually found its slope. And since we already have a point on it, we can write down its equation. The point B has coordinates 0, 10. So using the point slope form, y minus 10 equals 3 halves times x minus 0. Point 0, 10 slope form. Okay? And then we just simplify. We have y equals 3 halves x plus 10. Okay? So we already got the equation of one. It remains to find the equation of the other. Okay? So let's just write that down here. Y equals 3 halves x plus 10. And then let's find the other one, which is this one here. Okay? And it's parallel to BC. Okay? And it passes through A. So we already have a point on it, so we just need its slope. We get the slope of BC. Okay? And using the coordinates of BC given there, so yung 0, 10, 12, 14, so slope of BC equals 14 minus 10 and 12 minus 0. Tama ba to? 4 over 12, so 1/3. That's BC's. And so this lines as well. And we use the point slope form again using the coordinates of A, -8, -16. We get the following: y plus 16 equals 1/3 x plus 8. So point, -8, -16, slope form. And then write in mx plus b form to simplify. You'll get the following. So distribute 1/3. So this becomes 8 over 3. Then the minus 16, that should be minus 40 over 3. So we have the two lines. Okay, so let me redraw. So the other one, let me just write over here, y equals 1/3 x minus 40. So if we again draw those lines back, so we got this one. Okay, bay natin yung color. We got this one, and we also got this one. So therefore, their point of intersection is the vertex we are looking for. So solving, we just have to solve the system given by their equations. Y equals 3/2 x plus 10. And by the way, did you study systems of non-linear equations? I'll be discussing that later in my other class. But we did not include systems of linear equations, but it's presupposed here. Actually, it's not really hard to solve them. You use either substitution, elimination, or just by solving for y in each as already given here. And we just equate the two to each other. So since they are both y, we solve 3/2 x plus 10 equals 1/3 x minus 40. Okay, and there are several ways to solve this, of course, but I will just be multiplying by 6, the LCD, so as to read the equation of fractions. So multiplying by 6, okay, you'll get 9x plus 60 equals 2x. This is 40 over 3. Okay, so if you multiply by 6, minus 80. Okay, and solve for x. 7x equals negative 140. X equals negative 20. And if you just for a while, there's an emergency, just wait. Try to solve for y. Okay, so it should also be negative 20. You can plug in either equation. You can plug it in here. Let me just plug it in here. So if you plug in x equals negative 20 here, 1/3 times 20. Wait, 40 over 3 nga pala yan. So 1/3 of 20 minus 40 over 3. Wait, what happened here? Negative 20 pala yun. Okay. So negative 20 over 3 minus 40 over 3 is negative 60 over 3. So negative 20 also. So the point we are looking for is the point negative 20, 20. So I'll be erasing. Anyway, this is available later for viewing. So let me just plot the point negative 20, 20 to see if it's really the point we're looking for. So negative 20, 20 is this point. And mukhang siya naman yun, di ba? Okay? Found using lines, concept of lines. Okay, is there any question regarding solution 1? So at least there we've learned the point slope form, okay, concept of parallel lines and slopes. Now we'll use the midpoint formula next to solve this problem. Now, how come the midpoint formula applies here? Anyone knows what property of a parallelogram actually is essential to solving this one, which has to do with the midpoint of the vertices of the parallelogram there. Anyone? There's this unique property of parallelograms that actually has to do something with its diagonals. What are the diagonals? They are the line segments from one vertex to the opposite vertex. So there are two diagonals. And diagonals of parallelograms have this property that their diagonals intersect or bisect each other. What does the word bisect mean? It means that they divide each other into two equal parts. So that this is equal to this, and then this is equal to this. That means the point of intersection is actually the midpoints of the diagonals. To state it another way, the midpoints of the diagonals are, what's the term here? Concurrent. If it's not a parallelogram, halimbawa ganito, no, we have a general quadrilateral, their diagonals do not necessarily, the midpoints of their diagonals do not necessarily coincide. So halimbawa, ang midpoint ng isang diagonal dito, tapos dito naman yung midpoint niya dito, so they have different locations. Unlike with parallelograms, their the midpoints of the diagonals actually coincide. So we say, actually we use the word concurrent for lines pala. So they just coincide. Okay, that's the term. So given that property, okay, the midpoints of the diagonals of a parallelogram coincide. How do we use that to solve for D, the fourth vertex? Well, we already have the midpoint formula, right? So it is possible to locate the midpoint first. And once we get that, so kukunin natin yung midpoint muna, ito. And then after we get the midpoint, we can find the other endpoint. Since again, it's the midpoint of BC. Kuha natin yung idea, no? Let's label this as M. Point M is both the midpoint of diagonal CD and diagonal BC. Okay? So we can use diagonal BC to get its location. Since we know already diagonal AB. We can use the coordinates of A and B to get the midpoint. And then to get D, we use the midpoint and the other point, the other endpoint. I gave a problem like this in the videos. How do you get one of the endpoints given the midpoint and one of the endpoints? So let's first get M, the location of the midpoint. Okay, here. So M using AB. Okay, so B has coordinates. Again, A, B, C. So B has coordinates 0, 10. And then A has coordinates -8, -16. So getting the midpoint, remember the midpoint formula, you add the corresponding coordinates, divide by 2. So we'll get M with coordinates 0 plus -8 divided by 2. So I add the x coordinates, divide by 2, and then add the y coordinates, divide by 2. So M has coordinates -2, negative, tama ba to? 10 minus 16 is -6. If I'm not mistaken, -4 one more time, -4 over 2, okay, then -6 over 2. Okay. Now, by the way, this is an impromptu discussion. I did not really prepare the answers in advance para mas nakikita nyo paano mag-isip, di ba, kapag actual na problem solving. Okay, so kapag nagkamali man ako, dapat makita nyo yung error tapos makorek ninyo. Sakali lang naman. Okay, and kung nakita nyo agad, pakisabi agad sa akin. So M has coordinates -2, -3. Kung walang mali sa computations ko, no? Tama ba? A and B.
Sir?
Yes.
Shouldn't be -4. Not
Ayun lang, no?
-2.
Ay, -4, tsaka, tama na, no?
Yes, sir.
-3. Okay, sorry. So, -4, -3. So, yun siya. Now, since we know M and we know C to be at 12, 14, we can get D by using the midpoint formula another time, but this time in reverse. So we'll get, okay, ito kasi, no, iganito natin siya. So this is D. This is 12, 14. Vertex yan. And this is M. I gave a problem like this in the videos. So we average the x coordinates to get the midpoint's x coordinate. So average natin yung x tsaka 12. So divide that by 2 should equal the midpoint's actual x coordinate. And same thing for the y coordinates. Average the y coordinates and equate to the y coordinate of the actual y coordinate of M. And you have an equation set up to allow you to solve for x and y. And if we do so, it's not hard to see that when you cross multiply -8, then transpose 12 becomes negative, you'll get the same result. And so for this, 2 times -3, -6, then -14 is -20. It's the easier of the two, of course, solutions. But granted, you know that property of parallelograms, that the diagonals bisect each other. Any questions so far with this problem? The last but not the least, it's actually the easiest of all the solutions. Slope. So you just count from B. Dali lang eh. From C to B, you go 2 units down. 1, 2, and then 7 units or 6 ba? 7 yata. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 units to the left. So that's the concept of slope, rise over run. So you should have the same for A to D. 2 units down, 6 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slope, di ba? So you get negative 20, negative 20. And that takes less than 15 seconds. Pero syempre, kailangan maisip mo muna. Okay, any question? Sir, bakit pa tayo pinahirapan? Well, we need to discuss all the topics at maganda tong problem na ito. Kasi ang dami niyang ways na ma-solve at nakukuha natin, nagtatalakay natin agad marami dito sa isang tablet. Okay. Paurong na lang tayo siguro. Atras. Next. Find the equation of the line passing through the point 3, -2 and perpendicular to the line whose equation is 2x plus 7y equals 9. So before answering, what should we do? Anyone can explain what to do before I do it? Again, we're looking for a line here. We need two things, a point and a slope. Or if we are given 2 points, madali na lang. Pero hindi ka bibigyan ng 2 points, syempre. Ano na yon, basic na masyado yon. So we are given a point. So in other words, we're actually only looking for one thing here, its slope. And your guess is that it will be found using the other part of the sentence. Okay, perpendicular to the line given here. And we know how perpendicular lines are related, meaning their slopes. They are negative reciprocals of each other. So we get the slope of that underlined line equation and take the negative reciprocal. So to get the slope of that line, madali lang, di ba? Convert to mx plus b form since m is the slope. So transpose, divide, and so mx plus b, ito yung m agad. Okay, let me label the equation of the line we're looking for as by capital L. So the slope of this line is negative 2/7. And therefore, the slope of the line L is the negative reciprocal of that. So positive 7/2. May tanong? Negative reciprocal. And so we're almost done. We write down its equation now. And as usual, you will be required to write your answer in the form y equals mx plus b unless otherwise specified. Or if there's no particular mention of the kind or type of or form of a line that you will be using. Anong tawag dito? Slope intercept form. Tama? Or mx plus b form. Mas kilala siya sa tawag na mx plus b. And so first, we write down in points slope form. So slope and then point slope. So y, looking at this one, plus 2 equals 7/2 x minus 3. If there's no direction that you have to write it in mx plus b form, then this could be given as a final answer. Lalo na kung file upload lang ito or show your solution ito, yan na yun. You don't need to go any further. But sabi ko nga, madalas i-require na y equals mx plus b, lalo na kapag i-input mo kasi siya sa canvas. So maraming ways mong isulat yung points law form eh. Depende dun sa point eh. So hindi siya unique. Hindi kagaya ng mx plus b. Unique siya. So we first distribute 7 halves. Then transpose 2 becomes -2. So kung di ako nagkakamali, 7 halves x, then minus when minus 25. Okay, over 2. Okay, so in recap, we got the slope by first getting the slope of this one, then taking the negative reciprocal, then yun na, point slope form. Any question on this? Okay, next. Through the midpoint of the line segment whose endpoints are 3, 5, and -5, 3. And slope is -1. Okay. So what things do you need to solve this problem? Anyone? Anong mga concepts yung kailangan natin dito? Through the midpoint, so syempre obvious na, no? Midpoint formula. Okay, the endpoints are given anyway, so wala nang kailangang gawin. Minsan kasi, no, sasabihin from the x-intercept to the y-intercept, yung midpoint nun. May problem na ganun sa exercises eh. So ito, binigay na talaga yung endpoints. And then what else do we need? So what is another given? Slope is -1, so no problem with m. So ang kailangan lang talaga natin, yung isang point na hindi binigay directly, na makukuha sa midpoint formula. So in other words, another thing you need is the point slope form. So let's get, m is -1 na. Let's get a point on the line. So it's the midpoint of 3, 5, and -5, 3. So if we average the coordinates, so 3 plus -5 over 2, and then 5 plus 3 over 2. Pakitignan mabuti ah. 3 plus -5 tapos 5 plus 3. So the point -1, 4. So you are given the slope and a point. So point slope form. Y minus 4. Then -1 yung slope. X plus 1. So y equals -x, then -1 plus 4, so plus 3. And then yan yung i-input mo sa canvas kung ano to, no? Anong tawag sa ito, fill in the blanks. So yung syntax, Siyempre kung halimbawa, no, the syntax I gave to Canvas, I put there in Canvas has no spaces, and you put spaces in between, then Canvas will automatically mark it as wrong. That's why I manually check as well. But sometimes pag sinipag ako lahat ng possible combinations, pwede nating ilagay. Put a space. Kasi you have to put all possible answers. Kung ang student nagbigay ng decimal, halimbawa, so kailangan kong rin ilalagay yun sa mga correct answers. Pero minsan marami masyado. Kaya manual. Okay? Other one? Ito muna tayo. Obvious to. Napakabilis nito. Anyone? What's the answer? Sige, sa chat box. Anyone here or there? Okay, yun na yun. M, tsaka B na yan, di ba? B is the y-intercept, and we have the slope-intercept form. So it's just a test of formulas or memory na rin. Okay. Pero dito x-intercept. So how do we solve this one? Slope is -2, x-intercept is 4. Again, we're looking for a line. Obvious naman kasi may slope, no? Point slope form. Slope is given, point is given. So point slope form. But yung point natin, hindi naka-coordinate siya. So if you write it wrongly 0, 4, you'll get wrong. It will actually become a y-intercept. So you should write it as 4, 0. And then use point slope form. Y minus 0 equals m, -2 yon, x minus 4. And you're done. Okay? Okay, ito. Bigyan ko kayo ng time. Kaya ng 5 minutes ito pag-isipan. Let me read the problem. Find the coordinates of the points that divide the line segment joining 4, 5, and 10, 14 into 3 equal parts. I'll give you time, and then you can send your answer in the chat box so I can verify if your answer is correct or no. Sige, 5 minutes. Okay. So it seems that some of you have given 3 points when you should only be giving 2 points. Only 2 points are missing in this problem. Find the coordinates of the points that divide the line segment joining 4, 5, and 10, 14 into 3 equal parts. That means you have 2 points missing. Not 3. That if there are 3, then they would be dividing the line segment into 4 equal parts. Then you can use the midpoint, then the midpoint of the midpoint to solve that kind of problem. Actually, I think it's in one of the lectures I uploaded, or if not, in the exercises. Actually, the problem is 3 times as far from this endpoint as it is from this endpoint. So, magiging 4 yon. So, here, you cannot make use of the midpoint formula. So, you will have to resort to other methods. And one would be to use, I think, pareho lang, similarity or slopes. Now, if we draw a right triangle, it should not be hard to see that you just have to divide the sides of that triangle into three equal parts as well by virtue of similar triangles. Now, I just divide this into 3 equal parts to get the x coordinate of this point. Okay, that is so because if we look at these two similar triangles, this one and the big triangle here, they are similar triangles. So what does that mean? Ratios of corresponding sides are equal. So this, let me just show it. This divided by this red side of the small triangle divided by this side of the bigger or the biggest triangle is equal to 1/3, right? Since the line segment is divided into 3 equal parts. So 1:3 yan. And dahil similar triangle sila, this side of the smallest triangle divided by this side of the biggest triangle should have the same ratio. So nung lumalabas, 1/3 din siya nung side na yon ng biggest triangle. And we can get, okay, this side using the x coordinates. Okay, this is 4, 5, this is 10, 14. So you just subtract the x coordinates. Tama, nasa 4 ito, nasa 10 ito. So 10 minus 4, ano siya? 6. Divided by 3. Tama? Subtract 10 minus 4 is 6 divided by 3. So that means you have to run 2 units to the right. Tama? 2 units. 2 units. 2 units. And the same principle or idea applies to the other side of the triangle. I just divide this side into 3 equal parts. And we can get the length of that side by looking at the y coordinates, 14 and 5. Okay? Kasi 5 ito, 14 yung buo, so subtract mo lang 9. Tama? This is 9. You can verify that. Subtract the y coordinates, you get 9 for that side. And you divide it by 3, you get 3. Anong ibig sabihin? 3 ito. So yung slope niya, 3:2. So the idea is to run 2 units to the right, 3 units upwards. So 4, 5 plus 2 to the x coordinate plus 3 to the y coordinate. So ano siya? 6, 8. And then again, 2 units to the right, 3 units upwards, 8, 11. And you can verify, if I add 2 to 8, I get 10. If I add 3 to 11, I get 14. So the answers are 6, 8, 8, 11. Any question on this? So kahit pa 5 equal parts yan, 13 equal parts, i-divide mo lang by 13, then you just run the same number of units vertically and horizontally each time to get the points in between. And last one. Walang tanong dun sa kanina. So nakaka 1 hour pa lang tayo, no? Parang 2 oras na. Okay. Determine whether 14, 7, 2, 2, and -4, -1 are collinear. There are 2 ways to do this. One is by use of the distance formula. Another is mamaya. Okay? Distance formula muna tayo. If 3 points are collinear, okay. Halimbawa, no, A, B, and C. Then, if they are collinear, if I add AB and BC, I should get the same. I should get the length of AC. AB plus BC should be the same as AC. Otherwise, you would have non-collinear points. Halimbawa, hindi collinear yung tatlo, anong mangyayari? Triangle inequality. Hindi na natin masyadong tinanakay yan, ano? Pero if A, B, and C are non-collinear points, then that would no longer be true. This is AC, but note that if I add AB and BC, that will be greater than AC. Remember, the sum of 2 sides of a triangle is always greater than the third side. So in order for the 3 points to be collinear, AB plus BC should be equal to AC, if and only if. If not, then they are non-collinear. So let's check. If this were A, B, and C, would they satisfy the triangle inequality? Or will they be collinear? So distance formula, remember, square root of the sum of the squares of the differences of the coordinates. Square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So calculator work lang ito. So AB, square root of 14 minus 2 squared plus 7 minus 2 squared. Let me get my calculator. Okay, so this will be square root of 12 squared is 144. Tapos plus 25. Sakto to, no? Pythagorean triple, ano? And then BC is equal to, okay, compute square root of 2 minus negative 4. And then 2 minus negative 1. So 36 plus 9. Hindi mo na kailangan mag-rationalize dyan. Pwede mo na lang i-round off. Checking lang naman ng values. So, hindi ko lang calculate ko. Square root of 4. Teka. Nasa cellphone na rin yung calculate ko eh. Wait. Square root of 45. Okay. Approximately 6.7. Di naman kailangan maraming decimal places. Isa nga lang pwede na. Pero 6.71 rounded off. AC. So square root of 14 minus negative 4. So that's 18. And then 7 minus negative 1. 7 plus 1 yon, no, 8. So AC seems to be the longest side. So 18 squared plus 8 squared is 388. So that's 19.69 or 70 na siya kung 2 decimal places. So the longest, if this were a triangle, actually, if the 3 points are vertices of a right triangle, then the longest side should be AC. So let's check. Is AB plus BC equals AC? Now AB is 13. BC 6.71. Is that equal to 19.7? Okay, now this one is 9 times 5, so 3 square root of 5. And then square root of 388, let me rationalize. It seems that they are very close to each other. So 97 is non-factorable. So this one is actually square root of 2 square root of 97. Now is 13 plus 3 square root of 5 equal to 2 square root of 97? Actually, hindi sila pareho exactly. There's a small difference. 19.70 tapos ito 19.71. And baka isipin mo, sir, baka lang sa round off nagkaiba pero pareho sila. No. Actually, this can be shown to be not equal using algebraic means na hindi ko na i-discuss ngayon. Pero numerically, hindi sila talaga eksaktong equal. So parang collinear sila pero ang totoo hindi sila collinear. Okay? Paki-verify na lang yan. Now that seems to be a very hard way of doing this. There's an easier way, of course. Dahil collinearity to, we use the concept of ano yan? Slope. Tama? Slope. So if points are collinear, then they have the same slope. If we use any two of the given points. So if we have A, B, and C, I get the slope of AB and get the slope of DC, they should be the same. Or if I get the slope of, say, AC as well, kahit anong combination or pair, pareho'y dapat yung makukuha slope. Otherwise, if they are non-collinear, then one of the slopes will be different. Or actually, all of the slopes will be different. The slope of AB will not be the same as the slope of BC, will not be the same as the slope of AC, but it's enough to show that two of the slopes are not equal. So it's much easier to compute the slopes than the distances. So ano yung slope ng AB? So change in Y over change in X. So this would be 5 over 12. AC na lang gamitin natin, pwede ring DC. Dalawa lang, sapat na. Slope of AC, 14. Change in Y muna. 7 minus negative 1. AC tayo, no? 7 minus negative 1 and then 14 plus 4. 8 over 18 equal ba yan? Hindi. 4 over 9. You can verify that numerically. In fact, you can check that third slope, hindi rin equal dun sa dalawa. So again, conclusion, non-collinear points. So that should be enough for today unless may question pa regarding sa exercises, sa graded, sa anumang bagay ng Math 21. Okay, you can stay. Meron ba? Speak up or send a message in the chat box. Otherwise, I will be ending the session.